Alright guys, the title of this video is What Phone Should I Buy in 2016? And we have an assortment here of devices ranging from small to large, starting with the iPhone 6S, followed by the Galaxy S7, and then the Google LG Nexus 5X, and then finally the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. You might notice that I've left out a number of players in this game, most notably players from the Windows Phone camp. Unfortunately, at this point in time, Windows Phone is dead, in my opinion, which is sad because I do like Windows Phone. I do think they had a really good shot at being a top-notch player in the mobile ecosystems. You know, they were a great contender, but in 2016, they're just kind of out of the picture. And so, while it's sad that they're not around, they won't really be missed for a lot of people. So getting into what we do have here, you'll notice also that there's some other players that are absent, most notably LG and Sony, two of the other big contenders in the Android market. So we're not going to focus on who's not here, but we're going to focus on who is here. Again, this is more of an Android versus iPhone kind of a competition here for your money in terms of the market space. And so we can talk about what Apple has and what Android has and the benefits to each. Most notably missing from here, as well as the iPhone 6S Plus. But in terms of the features, the iPhone 6S compared to the 6S Plus, they're the exact same device, except the 6S Plus is going to be a lot bigger in terms of its screen size. This is a 4.7-inch screen. I believe the 6S Plus is a 5.5-inch display, so notably bigger in terms of its screen and build size. Jumping into why you'd want to choose one of these phones, I'm going to try and move along here sort of quickly to try and keep from boring you. A lot of people here are probably looking to see how they want to spend their money, and they're doing kind of a side-by-side search here. What you get with the iPhone versus what you get with Android. The biggest reason to choose Android versus iPhone is choice in hardware. iPhone offers you basically one model to choose from with each progressive year. So, for example, the 6S is the upgrade to the iPhone 6, and so they typically add an S to it, indicating that it's been sped up, so it's the speedier model of the two. What that means is you get an improved processor, improved memory, improved graphics. Basically a more well put together phone in the S model. So for this year, for 2016, or at least half of the year, the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus are current. They offer really good build, solid aluminum construction, great warranty through AppleCare. If you break your phone for some reason, you can get it fixed or replaced at a very low cost. If it's covered under warranty, you can walk in and out of the store the same day with a replacement phone. The Apple ecosystem is fantastic. They offer a host of all kinds of accessories, gadgets, gizmos to go along with the phones, cases, you know, screen covers, things you can plug the phone into, different adapters. The sky's the limit with the Apple ecosystem and the accessories that go with it. Apps typically come to iPhone first over Android, so your app development usually happens first on the iPhone. Camera is a very solid camera, although you'll see in some of these newer Androids that the camera in these guys actually tends to rival the camera in the Apple iPhone, which is kind of new to the picture here in 2016. Typically the iPhone has had the better camera over the Android phones, but nowadays we're seeing better Android phones with better cameras over the iPhone. But getting into why you'd want to choose an iPhone, size is a big one. A lot of people prefer smaller phones, myself included. This is a 4.7-inch display. I can easily reach most things on the screen. It's nice and thin. I can fit this into my pocket, no problem. It's not a huge, bulky, gigantic phone by any means. Very fast, very fluid, very easy to use operating system. Same thing goes with the iPhone 6S Plus. So if you're looking for a bigger version of the 6S, keep in mind that everything I say about the 6 is relevant to the 6S Plus, just in a bigger form factor. Very quick updates from Apple. As soon as the update's released, you end up getting the update right away. That's a really great feature to have. Arguments against the iPhone. A lot of people don't like the speaker on the bottom because it can kind of get in your hand. A lot of people don't like the fact that the screen is IPS LCD, which is a lower contrast, more, I would say, washed out look when you compare it to the AMOLED screens here on the Galaxy series of phones. Not necessarily negatives against the iPhone, just kind of little little minuses, I would say, in the iPhone category. Lockdown operating system with iPhone. You can't install default applications. You can't just install App Store applications, and so it's very limited in terms of what you can do with the phone if you're more of a hacker and a developer. Of course, you can jailbreak these phones, which will allow you to do those things, but it's a little more complicated than just doing them out of the box. All in all, great phone. People love the iPhone. There's a reason why people love the iPhone. It's a fantastic device. It is an expensive device. You're talking $650 for the lowest end model at 16 gigs of storage size with no removable storage and no removable battery. Upgradable to 128 gigs, but you're looking at $200 more for that device. So now comparing that to our current popular Android phones here, the biggest, I would say, comparison to the iPhone 6 is the Galaxy line of Android phones. And this is the Galaxy S7, brand new from Samsung for 2016. Very, very similar to the iPhone. I mean, you look at these phones, they're very similar in design. They don't necessarily look a whole lot the same, but like if we look here, that's very similar looking. They're both metal constructed phones. Those are similar looking. They both have fingerprint sensors on the bottom here. That's very similar. They both have a similar fit and finish. Again, the screen quality on the AMOLED is very much more vibrant. It pops. I would call it substantially brighter, and I don't know if I would say the term better, but it's a different user experience compared to the IPS LCD here on the iPhone. And some people like it and some people don't. Personally, I actually like the LCD screens on the iPhone and the Nexus better than the Galaxy, but that doesn't mean the Galaxy is bad. It just means it's different. Other things to talk about between these two phones, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe that independent tests have shown that the camera is actually better in the Galaxy S7 than it is in the iPhone 6s. They're very close. I do like the camera app in the iPhone better than the camera app on the Galaxy. I think that there's too much stuff. It's too complicated. It's too gimmicky here in the Galaxy. The iPhone is very simple. It's video, photo, slow-mo, time-lapse, square, all right here. Just swipe over and you get it. If you look at that compared to the Android, you have all these different modes like live broadcast, virtual shot, hyperlapse. I don't even know what that stuff means, and I don't want to have to read a manual to figure it out. It's just the app on the iPhone is better, just because it's more simple. It's easier to use. Just gives you a better user experience. Weight-wise, they're about the same. Another huge benefit to the Galaxy is it offers water resistance, which is really, really nice. So you can drop the phone in the toilet, drop it in the sink, and you're okay. It also has a built-in heart rate sensor here. So if you're a fitness person, you can measure your heart rate here using this little feature on the back. That's kind of nice to have. So side by side, these phones are about the same. Built-in price is about the same too. The Android does offer removable storage here, which is great. But again, you're looking at $650 and up for this model phone. So very, very close in terms of its price with the Apple iPhone. Next in line here is our budget version. This is a Google LG Nexus 5X, and if you're unfamiliar with the Nexus line, this phone features stock Android, and what stock Android is it doesn't have any of the carrier overlay, right? And so Samsung puts TouchWiz on their devices, and TouchWiz is a different user experience. It's a different overlay of the phone. It offers different apps, right? For example, Samsung offers what's called Samsung Pay, which is a third-party pay program, which I believe I might have actually uninstalled on here. But other example, there we go, there's Samsung Pay. Similar to Android Pay, but a little bit different. Other Samsung apps or bloatware or features, some people call them, are things like they have S Health, right? Which I'm not really going to use because S Health is, proprietary to Samsung, and I use Runkeeper. There's also a lot of Verizon bloatware on here, like VZ Navigator. Why would I use VZ Navigator when I just want to use Google Maps? And so the great thing about stock Android is you don't get any of that bloat. You don't get any of that carrier crapware. You don't get any of that stuff that you don't need. You get a solid, just complete Android software, and it lets you customize and lets you download the apps that you want on your phone. You don't have to waste space by having all that junk that you don't necessarily want. Another nice thing about stock Android is you get the updates right away. And so when I say that, you can see this phone is already running Android N beta. And so that means that Android N is going to be released here really, really soon. And we're right now in the middle of March of 2016. And when Android N is released, my Nexus 5X is going to have it well before my Galaxy gets it. And so that's something to consider if you want the latest and greatest software to be running on your phone. And what new software does for you is it does things like increase your battery life, it makes your phone more secure, it patches security holes. It's going to give you a better overall experience versus having older software. on the whole. Of course, you'll hear people talk about phones getting old and older phones having worse, they slow down with new software updates. Sure, but those are older phones. We're talking about new phones. This is a brand new phone. When Android N gets released here in another few weeks and my brand new phone doesn't get it, I'm going to be sort of annoyed. Another great feature to the Nexus line is that this phone starts at about $300, and that's almost half the price here of this Galaxy phone, right? And so when you consider what you're getting for your money, right, I can almost buy 2 of these guys for the same price as 1 of these. And so when you think about sort of the positives and negatives to each of these phones, you have to consider price too. The camera on this phone is just as good as the camera on the Galaxy. No, it's not waterproof, so that's a little bit of a negative. The size is about the same. It's a little bit bigger here on the Nexus than the Samsung Galaxy S7. So there's all these things you have to consider, but price should be one of them. And for your dollars and your hard-earned money, the Nexus phone series is a really great phone to look into. It works on all carriers. It's factory unlocked from Google, so that means you can use it on Verizon, you can use it on AT&T, you can use it on T-Mobile, you can use it on all these great carriers. Project Phi, which is Google's own carrier, all these carriers around the country that's unlocked. Take your phone anywhere you want to go, even internationally, overseas, and have a great time with your phone, whereas a lot of these phones are going to be locked to your carrier. You got to deal with unlocking and all that other crap and pay money, and it's a pain in the butt. Something to consider here with the Galaxy versus the Nexus 5X. Jumping now into the Galaxy S7 Edge, what you're getting with the Galaxy S7 Edge, and this can't be sort of understated, is you're getting a premium built phone. This thing, same back as the Galaxy S7, but look at that Edge screen. This thing is just unbelievably sexy. I mean, this thing just begs to be picked up. It puts all these other phones to shame in terms of the design department, especially this awesome silver titanium finish. I mean, this thing is something to look at and something to hold on to. Very, very comfortable to hold on to. That Edge screen is super, super nice. Just different. It just looks different than everything else on the market right now. And this isn't a review of the S7 Edge. If you want to check that out, you can see my other videos. But this is just a comparison. You're going to pay $100 extra, so we're talking $750 plus here now for this Galaxy S7 Edge, but it's a bigger phone, it's a bigger screen, it's a brighter screen than these other guys, other than the Galaxy S7 here, but it's just a different immersive experience other than you can't get with these other ones. And if that's something you value, if you value the latest, the greatest, the quote-unquote best, look to the Galaxy S7 Edge. Look to this phone and just pick it up and see what you think. Like I said, if you're interested in something that's small, or if you're interested in something that's big, there's lots of different features to look at and lots of different things to look at in terms of what you're getting for your money. And don't just gravitate towards one or the other because your friend has it. Check out what each phone does and sort of look at the bigger picture and think about how long you're going to have the phone for, what it's going to do for you, how much you want to spend, make sure it's within your budget, and take a real hard look at what you're getting. Don't just go out and say, oh, I'm going to get an iPhone because everybody else has an iPhone. You might want to save yourself $300 and get a phone that's just as good, offers just as many features that you want. That's half the price. And so, hope you guys enjoyed this little quick review here of side-by-side of what phone you should get for 2016. Feel free to ask me any questions you have in the comments, and don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.